that we will be getting started in just 1 minute. We're just going to wait a few minutes for additional attendees to enter, and then we will get started. You can keep chatting if you'd like, Diane. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. The participants absolutely come first. How many Corey Fords are there in the audience? Do you see that?
Those are the ones that registered. Enrollment management sent out a registration link.
Oh, I see. So we don't have the actual people's names. They're all Corey Ford. Wow. Okay.
Okay, I think we will get started now. I just want to make sure that everyone can see my screen that I'm sharing. The panelists can nod if they can see it. No? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Andy. I'm like, no, I don't see any responses. Okay. So welcome, everyone. My name is Melinda Davis, and I'm the Director of Housing Operations in the Office of Housing and Residential Life, and I will let my fellow panelists introduce yourself before we get started.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Sears, Director of Housing and Residential Life.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathleen Jordan, Director of Resident Dining, and I'm here tonight with Andy Allen, who is the GM of all campus dining.
Kathleen, it is a little hard to hear you. I'm not sure.
Is this better? Should I get a little closer?
A little bit. I'm not sure. You just sound really far away. I'm not sure what that is. But if it's the same later, we'll give you a heads up if we can't hear you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Andy Allen. I am the General Manager for UMass Dining Services, and I'm happy to be here to chat with you all tonight.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jen Giuliano. I'm the Assistant Director for Housing Operations in the Housing Office.
And I'm Diane Dorigo, Assistant Vice Chancellor for Campus Services. I'm excited to be here to help answer any dining questions in support of Kathleen and Andy, and also can answer questions about parking and a myriad of other things as well. But great to have you all here, and we're excited to be talking with you and answering any questions we can.
You're all extremely lucky to have Diane, aka the Mayor Dorigo of UMass Boston. She's a lot of history and is a huge resource. So
you're making me blush. It's the other way around. We're all a great team here. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to get started. So we'll start. The way the evening will work is that we'll start with giving you a little information about housing on campus, and then dining will go into information about dining on campus, and then we have two current resident assistants who are joining us today who will walk through the residence halls and give you a bit of a virtual tour, which we're really excited about. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A section. Jen and Andy will be answering some, but we will have plenty of time at the end. So feel free to just keep putting your questions in there, and we will answer those live at the end. Okay, so John, if you want to go ahead and start us off.
Thanks, Melinda. So I want to congratulate everybody on with us tonight for joining us and your family's interest in a residential experience at UMass Boston. Before we get into all the great things that UMass Boston has to offer, I just wanted to highlight in general what housing affords an undergraduate education in general. You have access to campus resources and a talented and experienced live-in staff. Research shows over the years that it enhances GPA, engagement, and graduation, persistence to graduation. It makes you more accessible to programs and outreach, the academic support that's available not only in the residence hall, but close by on campus. We will talk a little bit about living learning communities, which are considered high impact, value-added experiences in a residential environment. You can't beat the proximity and location. It allows you to make new connections and friends in the residential environment. We help you do that. And then there's also the safety and security features and the convenience of living on. And that's just in general. And so my fellow panelists and I tonight are going to highlight some of the great features about UMass Boston housing that you could look forward to this fall.
So one of the most important things with living on campus is how to apply to live on campus. Well, the first thing is to be accepted to UMass Boston. So once you are accepted, you can pay the enrollment deposit and the reservation fee both through the My UMB portal. That is how the admissions office will communicate with you through the beginning stages of this process. If you have any questions about that, you can definitely contact admissions and they will help you with that login process. But throughout the application process, I'm sure you've received information about the My UMB portal. So right through there, you can make your payment. It's $200 for enrollment deposit, $300 for housing reservation fee. You can go ahead and make those. And if you change your mind about on campus or even UMass, those are refundable up through May 1st. So definitely important to know. Housing is done on a first come, first served basis and is not guaranteed. So it's important to lock in housing as soon as possible if you are considering that as an option. Once the payments are made, it does take up to 2 to 3 business days for those payments to process. You want to make sure that you check back in the My UMB portal under the admission status tab. That is where you would see the actual housing application link, and you can click on there and complete that, and then that will come to our office and we'll continue next steps from there. Here's a list of the various room types that we have to offer. There are rooms that have private bathrooms inside the bedroom, and there are rooms that have access to community bathrooms in the hallway. What I like to share about community bathrooms, you'll see a picture on the bottom of the slide with 2 past and current RAs in that picture there. The sinks are out in the open, as you can see, but behind the gentleman, you'll notice there are doors. Those doors have locks on them. They are individual rooms, just like using a bathroom in your home. So they are private individual rooms. It's not an open community bathroom. I'd just like to clarify that for those who may be considering the community bathroom option. Students who have private bathrooms in their bedroom, those bathrooms do need to be cleaned by the students. I like to mention that because as a college student, I'm not sure I would have wanted that, knowing I had to clean my own bathroom. But I know that that's very popular and majority of our bedrooms do have a private bathroom inside. And all of the rates are here as well. And the rates showing are the rates for the entire academic year. In terms of payment for housing, they can be done in 2 options. One is to pay for the entire semester upfront, and then we would bill in August, and then again in January for the spring semester. Or we can divide the entire amount that you saw on the previous slide into 8. So that would be 4 installments for the fall semester and 4 for the spring. And again, it would start in August, September, October, November, no payment in December. And then for the spring, it would be January, February, March, April, and then no payment in May. I've received questions in the past, are the rates different if you pay in 8 installments instead of 2? And the answer is no, it's the same amount. We're just dividing the entire academic year rate either by 2 or by 8. It's also important to know that housing is not on the university bill. It is a separate bill. We have our own portal, which you can see a picture of here, the resident portal. And on the resident portal, students can make payments from there. They can see payments made in the past or charges, future charges. They're all shown there. And also in the resident portal is where students can see roommate information and they can put a work order in if they have a clogged toilet or anything in their room. Definitely a good way to communicate with our office is through that resident portal. And also important to know that meal plans are on the university bill. So all university charges will be seen on the bill with the exception of the housing room charge. Financial aid. Another important question I often get is, can financial aid be used to pay for housing? Well, the answer is yes. It's just a very different process here than many other institutions. We want to make sure that everyone understands how that would work. If you are receiving an excess of funds, meaning you're receiving more funds on financial aid, scholarships, loans, grants, etc., than you owe to the university, you will receive that in a form of refund, whether it is a check or whether it is a direct deposit to an account. That would be given back to the student. Now remember, the housing bill is not located on the university bill, so that does not mean that there is not a housing balance. So what's important to know is if you receive that refund and you owe housing money, that would be the time you would go to the resident portal to make that payment. And if you have questions, again, you can log into the portal or just contact our office and we can let you know that. That refund cannot automatically be transferred to the university. It does belong to the student. It is in the student's name, so it cannot just be transferred to us. So when you get those funds, if you have questions, definitely contact our office and we can help you through that process of how to make your final housing payments. I'll pass it over
So
to
we're going to talk all about a lot of great features that UMass Boston has and will afford you. But our leadoff hitter, without a doubt, is our live-in staff, both our professional staff, our community directors, and our 31 resident assistants or RAs. This team will be your on-campus support system, and they're really trained and geared towards your success during your year in housing. They're responsible for programming, getting you to programs, and they also do outreach at key times during the beginning and throughout the of the year and throughout the academic year to check in with you to make sure that if you're a first-year student, your adjustment to college is going well. If you're upper class student, that your year is going well and you're getting connected. Some of the things that you can look forward to around programs and involvement are the community development that the Residence Life staff does. They'll do social events. This year, we've been primarily remote. However, we have in the fall semester and now in the spring semester moved towards in-person programs. So we're in kind of a hybrid model right now. Like I mentioned, the staff will do personal outreach to you, and they do that by design. They're trained to do that. We look at the first 5 weeks as an all-important period to get you adjusted to life at UMass Boston and make sure that you're getting connected. But it's not just in the halls. The housing staff will refer and promote campus-wide events. Your way to do that is through UMB Involved, the university student calendar for looking to see how you can get involved and how you can attend programs. There's the Beacon Fitness Center that we anticipate will be open nearby, and a myriad of clubs and organizations that are available to you. And of course, we're a stone's throw away. We're in Boston, and convenient transportation to get into the city is available. So you really can't beat the location as well. One of the things I would encourage you to think about is that this fall, we're offering 3 living learning communities. Those are communities where students with similar interests will be assigned together. This year, we're offering Leadership for Social Change, very pertinent, consider what's been happening around the country over the last year and a half. We also will sponsor a health and wellness learning community that focuses on living well and healthy in college. And then we're also going to sponsor a First Forward living learning community, which is geared towards first generation students and the support needed for that population. And so look to apply for this in the housing portal. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We also sponsor a Residence Hall Association, or RHA. Think about this as student advisory and student government in the residence halls. No prior experience is needed. We have executive positions that you can run for in elections. We also have community representatives where you can just join and represent your community. It's both a programmatic where you'll help us identify and co-sponsor events during the academic year. And it's also advisory where you can advise the housing leadership staff on your experience and how we can continue to make things better. We also sponsor a number of living preferences that you'll also see in the second portion of the housing application. Single gender living is available, gender inclusive living, and also quiet living. And you'll see these and the living learning community preferences available in the housing application, the second portion of the housing application. Look for communications that will announce that. We anticipate in late May or June, where you can make your preferences known for any of those options.
So you will get a little bit of a tour in a bit, but we wanted to share a few pictures of the community and around the community. So the top left is the dining common where students eat their meals daily. You can see where you check in at the register, just swipe your ID to enter. And in the way back, you see lights hanging, and there's some seating back there as well as over to the right, which you can't actually see in this picture. But also behind the sign, dining common is where you would get your food in the various stations, and it is beautiful in there. Great location, and Kathleen will get into that in a minute. Top right is
Beautiful and yummy.
yeah, well, that too, yes, that's important. Beautiful and yummy. And the top right, you can see the amazing views from campus and the residence halls of the Bay. Gorgeous. Bottom left, some current past RAs standing in front of the UMass Boston sign, which has kind of become a staple for new students and graduating students to take a picture, which is located right in between our two residence halls, the East and the West building. And then the bottom right is a picture of one of our laundry rooms. We have one in the East building on the first floor and the West building on the first floor. This particular picture is of the West building.
So Melinda mentioned beautiful surroundings in and outside. We're still a relatively new facility. We opened up for the first time in 2018. And so the building and all the amenities really are state of the art. One of the things that you should keep in mind is that our program in the fall will take its guidance from state guidance and university guidance on matching our program along with the health considerations that the pandemic presents. But we are looking at full occupancy and offering a full program in the fall right now. Some of the features that we have, and I'll talk a little bit more about some of these in depth here in a minute, but 24/7 uniform staff security and both residence halls feature card access that's controlled. A guest registration process that we have in place, although we didn't allow guests this year because of the pandemic. We anticipate some form of guests will be available in the fall, related to our full program. We have lounges up in the upper living floor areas. When we join Eric and Chloe here in a minute, we're hoping that you'll get a live view of that. It should be perfect timing as sunset is nearing. There are study group and group meeting spaces on the first floor. We also make available the dining commons after hours for programs and for study. There's a community kitchen that you can see right there on the first floor of West for programs. And then, of course, you can't beat the access to university facilities because we're right on campus. A little bit about safety and security. The access to the residence halls is controlled access. So you'll use both your beacon card to gain access to the building and then your key fob to gain access to your assigned room. We have 24/7 uniform security staff in the entrances. You can't see them right there in that photo, but that's the turnstile and entrance to the East Hall. The guard station is right there to the left. That's the location that you would sign guests in. They have a similar arrangement over in the West building. We have our resident assistants, our RAs and professional staff on call after hours and on the weekends. I mentioned guest registration. We have an established process for guest registration. And then we have a very close working relationship with the UMass Police Department, which is right on campus. One of the things that we want to highlight is the resident handbook, and that's the document. We're currently updating that now, and we also had a resident handbook addendum to account for pandemic and COVID-19 considerations. But it basically outlines the policies and expectations based on the conditions that we expect this fall. The planning for this continues, and we're going to update it. We'll send you updates when these revisions are available. It'll give you a good idea of what you can expect for life in the halls to be like come this fall. It's also worth mentioning some of the health and safety considerations that we've put into our plan this year. And although it's too early to tell exactly what this will look like in the fall, I can say that we looked at planning for this current academic year through a health and safety lens and a very close working relationship with our colleagues in University Health Services. Of course, we'll follow state guidance for a residential program, and we'll look to the university as it makes its decisions as they become known for the fall. But some of the things that we did this year were screenings and symptom tracking for resident students. Residents did a weekly COVID test right on site at the university, and we promote and require mask wearing and social distancing in the residence hall. Our colleagues in dining developed an excellent plan for meal deliveries that Kathleen will talk about in a little bit. It's still too early to know about vaccinations and how that impact the residential environment. But we also, for those a few occasions where students were either at risk or were diagnosed with COVID, we had established some really good quarantine and isolation procedures. As a matter of fact, in our department meeting, we just heard from another parent today that thanked us and appreciated our approach from a health and safety perspective. And that's one of the things that I really have to tip my hat, not only to the housing staff, but our colleagues in UHS and other departments around campus, promoting health and safety of residents while we delivered the residential program this year.
So we would definitely love for you to follow us on social media. We have lots of updates that we include on each of these: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And also we recently, I keep saying that, but it's several months ago now, we started a YouTube page, and we actually have some videos showing virtual tours of our doubles, triples, and quads. And you get a good solid look through the room. We have a staff member walking through slowly so you can see what some of the views look like, as well as inside the bathrooms and inside each of those room types. And there's a video of John and I doing a kind of a condensed version of the presentation today. If there's anything that you missed, you can certainly check that out. And we'll be adding additional videos as time goes on. So definitely follow us on YouTube as well to get a few updates. And I'll turn it over to Kathleen.
I'm going to jump in for just 1 second. Hi, my name is Andy Allen. I'm the director of dining here at UMass Boston. My perspective is twofold. I'm not only I have the pleasure of leading the UMass dining team, but I'm also the parent of a UMass student who lived in the dorm for a year. I can comfortably say, as a parent, as well as a food service professional, that the experience that my son had living in the dorms with such close proximity to Boston and his experience that he had in dining was top notch. In my 30 plus years, I can comfortably say that whether you are a student or a parent of a student that has dietary needs, that is looking for vegan or vegetarian or religious accommodations, or whatever the case may be, we have the ability to make sure that you are successful in the dining program. We're so looking forward to post-pandemic, where our full campus will be open. Kathleen will talk a little bit about the dining commons located about 5 minutes from the academic side of campus. It's a beautiful walk. But we have a very robust retail set of offerings. When the time comes that you make your decision to come and live in the dorms, if you live in the dorms, you have to be on a meal plan. That's a great thing, because it not only guarantees you some wonderful food in the dining commons, but it provides you points, which if you're new to the dining in colleges, a point is $1, and you're able to use those in many of our retail locations. We have a Starbucks on campus. We have Dunkin' Donuts on campus. We have a Burger King on campus. We have concepts that have ethnic food and pizza, and the list just goes on and on. If you are a parent or a student who has specific questions that you're not comfortable putting in chat, I'm going to put both my email address as well as Kathleen's in the chat box, and you can email us directly, and we can have that conversation privately about whatever the case may be. I'm going to stop talking and turn it over to Kathleen.
Thank you, Andy, and welcome everyone to our Res Life presentation. I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can expect when you come to the dining commons. You can see it in the photo on the slide. It is a beautiful, brand new, state-of-the-art location. And we've got every kind of food and every offering you can imagine. And if there's something that you would like to see that you don't, I encourage you to let us know. We have a great team of managers and supervisors who are always available. We want to make sure you're getting everything you need. So the communication between student and dining staff is very important. We want to have a level of comfort, and we also want to give you everything that we can within our power. So don't be afraid to speak up at all if there's something specific that you're looking for. Two things I do want to highlight in the dining commons is our simple serving station, which is a station that eliminates 7 of the 8 major allergens. So if you have any dietary restrictions or allergies, you can safely eat at our simple serving station if you have one of the 8 major allergens that you are trying to avoid. The only one we do serve is fish, and we clearly identify that if we are serving it on that station. And we want to include that because it does have very high nutritional value. Another area that you can't see in the photo is an area that's called My Zone, and it is a gluten-free and peanut-free pantry where you can get gluten-free snacks and bread and bagels. There's a dedicated freezer, a dedicated refrigerator, a dedicated toaster, microwave, and a waffle iron where you can make a gluten-free Belgian waffle. So it's good to know that we're able to meet the needs of our gluten-free students as well. And we do want you to identify yourselves to us. So, you know, when we see you in the dining commons, we can ask you if you're getting everything you need or if there's something special we can get for you. Currently, we're offering 2 meal plans. The 19 meal plan is every meal we serve in the week. It's 3 meals, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and brunch and dinner on the weekend. And that comes with 175 dining points that Andy referred to. The second meal plan is the 14 meal plan. It's any 14 meals of your choice during the week. That meal plan comes with 700 dining points that can be spent in the retail food court, in the convenience store that is right in the East Residence, and you can come down in your pajamas and get a snack and use your points in the convenience store. You can use them if you're bringing a guest to the dining commons and you've run out of guest meals. Each meal plan comes with 5 guest meals, but you can spend those points also in the dining commons if you have a large family and they're all coming for a visit. We're hoping that we're going to be up and running at full capacity. We will, of course, follow any state COVID restrictions, but our goal at this point is to be up and running as normal as possible. We do have lots of safety protocols in place as far as PPE for all our staff. We've incorporated a program that our company has called the 6-Foot Kitchen, where our staff are all safely social distanced from each other. And right now we've got some stickers on the floor to indicate safe places for everyone to stand. I'm not sure what our protocol changes will be, if any, in the fall. But I do want to stress that we are taking safety very seriously, especially in this time. As far as COVID or quarantine meals, if we have a student that tests positive, or if we have someone who's had close contact and needs to be in isolation, we provide a daily bundle that includes 3 meals, beverages, snack items. The housing department has been great to let us know about any restrictions that we need to recognize in those meals, and those would be delivered to your room daily by one of the RAs on duty. So don't fret if you're on a meal plan and you're afraid you're not going to be able to get your meal because you're in quarantine. We make sure that that meal is delivered right to your door. And again, we like to have open communication about that. So if there's something special you'd like, feel free to reach out to us. And that leads me to segue right into vehicles of communication. As I said earlier, the management team and the supervisors are always on the floor and accessible. But we have many other ways. We have a Happy or Not kiosk that you've maybe seen in an airport, where you can tap the smiley face to indicate your level of satisfaction. We've got a program called D-Text, where you can text us a message. We've got email, and we've also got an old-fashioned suggestion box that gets a lot of traffic. It's great to read all the comments from the students, and we respond and post them right back up on a bulletin board so everyone can see the responses. One other thing I'd like to mention is our dining website. It's right there on the screen, umb.sodexomyway.com. Feedback option there. It's where you can see our menus. If you're interested in knowing what our offerings are, you could go and check out this week's menu, or go next week and check out next week's menu. It's only one week's menu at a time. And there's also some interesting information about what we do, what some of our programs are, and what will be available in the fall. I think that's all I really have to say about dining at this point. Please put up any questions in the Q&A. You can grab that link in the chat box, and I look forward to seeing you all in the fall.
Thanks so much, Kathleen. Thank you.
Can we answer a
And-
few of the questions live, or sorry, did you want to go ahead?
Nope, we're going on to the virtual tour first. And
Oh,
then
okay, great. Sorry.
We will. That's okay.
Great.
I'm glad you're excited.
I'm so excited. Everybody hang in for the answers.
So I want to stop sharing for a second. So we have 2 fabulous students that I'm going to promote to panelists so that you are able to see them. And they are going to show you a little bit of the building. And there is Chloe. Hello, Chloe.
This is very
And
exciting.
Eric. We're very excited. So they are both in the East building right now. Hey, Eric, he looks like he's outside. They're both in the East building, and I will take it away. Eric, if you're going to start, I will let you go and give us a little tour.
Sounds good. Thank you. Hello. Oh, can everyone hear me? All right, that's awesome. All right, I'm going to start sharing my screen now. Hopefully we'll be able to get through this seamlessly, but I'm going to take you through the first floor, the lobby of the East dorm. You can see around me right now that I'm hanging out outside. I just wanted to show you guys fully what it's like to walk in, but here we go. First, I'm going to scan my key card and we're going to walk right through the doors. They're automatic, which is lovely. And so if we start walking right through here, we can see that pretty much everything in here looks quite modern. Like they said, they have a new building, and what this building is equipped with is quite a lot of stuff. We have right behind me the dining hall. I'll show you a little bit about that later. But right next to the doors, we have some of these study rooms. One of them is currently equipped with a ping pong table, which is lovely. The students love it. It's an awesome addition to the COVID procedure this year. But otherwise, the other rooms are just classic study rooms. We can see in here, you've got quite a lot of space to sit down. We've got a couple of, we got a table in here. We got a couple of things. We have a whiteboard, and we also have TVs in all of the study rooms. So that gives you ample opportunity once we're all able to, forget about closed spaces and distances and stuff like that. The opportunity to sit down with your friends, study for that chemistry exam like I did the last 3 years. But right now, what I'm doing is I'm just walking past the dining hall. And on the side here, we do have some microwaves. So if you are not getting food out of the dining hall, what you can do is you can stop by there and microwave your food. And then also across from the dining hall, we have a couple of study rooms. We have one very large study room. We call that the fish bowl. It's fully lined with glass, and there's a TV inside. We have a whiteboard inside. Once again, just another opportunity for you to study and really get to hang out with your friends. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk us into the dining hall, and I'm going to show us a little bit of what's going on. So we got quite a lot of space for y'all to sit down. All of the tables are social distance right now, but there is quite a lot of space for everyone to sit. And inside, what we have going on right now is our little conveyor belt system. We're starting with the beverages, and then we go right around in a loop all the way to our food in the back. It's an awesome setup. This is Berna. Hey, Berna. Berna's lovely. Berna works for the dining hall, and she is one of my favorite humans ever. Hello. All right, bye, guys. So as we walk through the doors now, what we're going to come down is this little hallway. You'll see along the walls over here, we have all of your mailboxes. You will get a special key for your mailbox, and anything that you get will be tossed in here so long as it's not a package. That's going to be put in a special locker that is down the hall behind me. We do have public bathrooms right here, male and female, but we also right behind us have non-gender specific bathrooms for everyone's access. Right here, we have one of my favorite places in the world, the U Market. If I take you through a little stroll in here, you'll see quite a lot of stuff available to everyone. We have snacks of all varieties, and we have our favorite working staff hanging out in the back. Finally, walking through the first floor, what we have right here is the housing office. And that's exactly what you think it is. Pretty much everyone works in there. They're available to you during business hours, and the RAs work out of there during pretty much all the time, but after hours if you need anything. Finally, we've got our little welcome insignia on the wall in every language. Love that. And finally, our security desk right by our gates. Hey, security. So hope you enjoyed that wonderful introduction to the first floor of the East dorms. The West dorms look somewhat similar, a little bit less stuff because they don't have the dining hall, but that concludes it for me. So Chloe, I will say hey to you and show us what's going on over there.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, right now I might be a little echoey because I'm currently in the staircase. I'm in the East building. I'll show you the view. I just wanted to show you the sunset and how pretty it is outside. So as you can see, I'm in this East building. Eric is down there at the bottom floor, and then that's the West building right there. Then I'm going to show you guys, this is the 7th floor of East. So pretty much all of our hallways look the same. They're pretty long, and there's about, I believe, 30 residents per hallway. So here to here, and there's one RA per hallway. So super great. And also you're allowed to go visit and floor whatever. We have RAs who make their own bulletin board and have some announcements out here. There's also the elevator bank right there. We have 3 elevators in the East building and then 2 in the West building. And then here's one of our lounges. It's a beautiful view. So we have whiteboards, and right now our furniture is placed socially distanced. So right now we have a 3 limit occupancy. So 1 at the desk and 2 in the chairs, and spray and paper towels to spray down before and after. And we also have big flat screen TVs in every lounge. And then you can see some construction. Oh yeah, lots of construction. But perfect. So you can see all the beautiful views. You can see the water, and you can see the rest of campus. So that's a view from this lounge. This is technically the green hallway. And then I'm making my way down the yellow hallway. And from floor 2 to 7 in the East building, there are 3 hallways, so tons of residents. And these are our communal bathrooms. So you can choose to have a private bathroom in your room, or you can choose to use one of our communal bathrooms. So as you can see, it goes in 2 ways. There's restrooms, so they're completely private, which is pretty unique for colleges. Most of the time you have to share like a whole stall of bathrooms and then use communal showers, and it's a whole private room. Right now for COVID, this is assigned for only 1 resident, so we're not exposing too many at once. Here's the bathroom. So yes, it's a community bathroom, but it actually is really private. So it's a pretty good deal. And then we also, I just want to show you one more lounge. So there's 3 lounges on these floors, which are great for any residents. Doesn't matter what floor you live on. And there's a lot more space in this one. So once again, a beautiful view. My favorite thing to do when it's nice out is walk along this harbor walk, and that goes all around campus, goes onto the beach over there, and there's a view of the city. All right, so if you want to see anything else, I can probably make my way over there, but that's a pretty much basic view without going into any rooms right now, which you can see on the YouTube channel. But yeah, Melinda, Jen, if you guys want me to show anything else or talk about anything else, I can, or answer some questions.
Thank you, Chloe. That was awesome. And Eric, both of you guys, that was a very nice tour. Hopefully it gave everyone a really good idea of what it looks like in the building. They were both in the east building. The west building is much smaller, and the hallways are about where Chloe talked about 30 people per floor. That's basically each floor of the west building. And the first floor of the west building, you also saw briefly during the presentation, we showed the community kitchen, and then there are some tables and chairs and a TV on the first floor of the west building. But again, much smaller environment. So at this time, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen, and I will turn it over to Jen so she can answer some of the questions that have been coming in. Before Jen starts, I do want to highlight we have the housing email address, housing@umb.edu, as well as the dining meal plan at umb.edu. That's where you can send your questions for dining. So I will leave that up there while Jen goes into questions.
Thank you, Melinda. So we've had a couple people ask very similar questions, so I've marked them to be answered live. There are a couple of questions that we don't have answers to. So someone asked if there was a chance that UMass Boston may mandate COVID vaccines for students. That is something that University Health Services would be in charge of. We have not received any information on that, but I'm sure that once any decisions are made, that information will be sent out to the community itself. A couple of questions about what happens for the cost for housing if COVID gets worse, which we are all hoping does not happen, and students need to go home. What we would then do is that we would work with the student account so that students are charged for the time that they are in the building. More information about that will come out depending on what happens and exactly when that may take place. Again, we are very much hoping that that does not happen. We would love to have you all with us for the entire year. Someone has asked for the total number of rooms. We have a total of 1,077 bed spaces in the building, and those are split up between mostly double, triple, and quad rooms. We have a very limited number of singles, as Melinda mentioned. There are 12 of them, and they are typically for students with approved accommodation requests. A couple of students have been asking about roommates and how they would be able to select that. Once the agreements are signed towards the end of May, beginning of June, a second section of your housing application will be opened, and that will allow you to create your own resident profile. So kind of the things that you like to do when you're in your room. And if you have roommates that you would like to request, you are able to list those there. And then there will also be a process for selecting the rooms themselves. The room selections that would be made during that time are not finalized. They may need to be adjusted a little bit based on the availability in the building. We would then reach out to anyone should that happen. John, I actually want to see if you can jump in. We had a couple of people ask questions about being an RA. They wanted to know if there were specific years that they needed to be, and I'm not sure exactly what they meant, but they said if they become an RA, will this be deducted from their overall bill?
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for your interest in being an RA. Very competitive process because it's an outstanding leadership opportunity on campus. We do our selection starting in the fall semester. We start a little bit earlier than other programs, and we actually do it jointly with the student and parent family programs teams when they are hiring orientation leaders. The remuneration for being an RA is room and board, so you do live in the halls, rent-free, and housing supplies a meal plan, part of the board plan. The requirements you can find on our webpage along with other information. There's not a live-in requirement because we do have a lot of commuters on campus that would also like that experience, and so that's not necessarily required. But you can find all of that information on the housing website, and we'll start the selection process for fall 22 come this fall, later on this fall. And you'll see announcements for that. We plaster that all over the buildings to make sure everybody has an opportunity to apply if they're interested.
Diane, I noticed there were a few that you marked. Do you want to go through and answer some of those?
Sure, and if I need assistance from Andy and Kathleen, you guys jump in, or if I'm missing any questions, let me know. Somebody asked about what a beacon card is. Very important. Beacon card is your life, basically. It is your student ID. I don't mean to scare you, saying it's your life, but it is your student ID, and it is what you will use to get in and out of the main door of the residence hall. It's what you will use to swipe in and out of the dining commons, which is an all-you-care-to-eat facility. And, to swipe in and out, you'll also use it. It will have your dining points on it. So you will use it to pay for food on the other parts of campus, like the food court in the campus center or Dunkin' Donuts. And you also, if you want to purchase parking, it will go on your beacon card. And depending on where you have classes, or say you end up getting a job in a lab in the integrated sciences complex, you may need that to swipe into your lab. So beacon card is very important. When you get it, do not lose it. Lots of things are done with your beacon card. Also, Kathleen addressed beautifully about allergies and different types of food needs. I just want to echo what they said. Please, 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 if you have any allergy concerns or dietary needs, restrictions, the key thing is to come and talk with the dining staff early and often, so that they know you and so that we can really take care of your needs. If we don't know you and don't know what your needs are, then there's no way we can address those. So please, please do that. Meal plans, more information will be forthcoming about signing up for meal plans during orientation, and this summer you'll be getting an email about them. Generally with the 2 meal plans, again, meal plan A, meal plan B, one meal plan, which is meal plan B, has more dining points to use in some of the other retail facilities. And generally that is the meal plan that you will be deferred to. And then you'll have about a week or two when the semester starts if you want to change that over to meal plan A. Dining points, or a few questions about how dining points work. Meal swipes, your meal swipes for the week do not carry over from week to week. So it's just however many you use in that week, and then they get reset every weekend back to 14 or 19, and you start all over again. So they do not carry over continuously. Dining points do carry over from fall semester to spring semester. So you'll get your dining points, and then if you don't use them all, they will carry over as long as you continue to be on the resident meal plan. However, at the end of the spring semester, all dining points, if they're unused, are forfeited. Don't worry, you won't have any points that go unused. So hopefully that answers most of the questions. There were some parking questions. Hopefully those got answered in the Q&A, but yes, cars are allowed on campus. You would need to register, sign up for parking. For resident students, it is $1,200 a semester. That would go on your student tuition bill. And commuter students are at different rates. So hopefully that answered everything. And I'm happy to also put my email address in the chat if people have other questions. Did I miss any big questions, guys?
I think you got them.
Okay, Great. Thank you, Andy.
All right, so a couple of the other questions people have asked about posting the prices for the rooms again. I did put a link in the chat, and thank you for whomever let me know that the can't click on links in the Q&A answer section. So there is a link in the chat itself that will bring you to our floor plans and room rates. That lists out all of our rooms. It does break down to show you what the semester cost is, as well as what the full academic year cost is for each of the rooms themselves. Someone's asked if there are restrictions for students leaving campus. There are not. You have your beacon card. As Diane said, it is kind of the key to everything, and that will allow you back into the building and also through the turnstiles. There have been a few questions as to when students would get their beacon card. That is typically done at orientation. So part of the orientation process is having your beacon card picture taken, and then you're able to receive the beacon card itself. Speaking of orientation, that also will be taking place over the summer, and the new student and family programs office will be reaching out with information about that as well. Trying to see if we can go through and get it. There are a few other questions on here that are kind of out of our purview, and I'm probably going to miss some of these when I answer them. One question was, what kind of sports are there? A lot. So I know that there are hockey teams, there's soccer, baseball, softball, basketball. I am probably missing a whole lot of them. If you do go to the UMass Boston website and look at the athletic side, you'll be able to see all of the different sports that are there too. And someone in the comments mentioned lacrosse as well. Yes, there are lacrosse. The community bathrooms, there was a question as to whether or not they were single gender. The bathrooms themselves are unisex. So there is the sinks that are out in the open. And then behind each of the doors, there is either a toilet or a shower or a toilet and shower. The doors do fully lock. So as long as you are remembering to lock the door behind you, you will still have a private space for that as well. A couple of questions about when move-in day is, and move-in day will be at the beginning of September. The housing agreement itself starts on September 4th. So the specific day will be around there. We are going to work on plans for that to make sure that everything runs as smoothly and everyone is able to move in as quickly and seamlessly as possible. So someone's asking what happens if they don't get housing in second year. There are a number of off-campus housing resources that are available, and that's on the UMass Boston off-campus housing website. So there are some apartment buildings that are very close to the campus, and while they are not university affiliated, we do have a number of students that live there. There are some resources available and also some ways to find roommates if you are looking for off-campus housing as well. Trying to make sure that I'm getting all of the questions. So there have been a couple of people asking about how to get a copy of this presentation. We are going to have it recorded, or we are recording it. And if you would like to have a link to view the recording, if you can send an email to housing@umb.edu, we'll be able to send that link for you so that you're able to look it over. And that way, if you have any other questions while you're considering your options with your student or with your loved ones and those that are helping you make the decision, you'd be able to reference back to the recording as well. Melinda or John, there have been a couple of questions that were asked about how health concerns or COVID positive cases were going to be handled when we have roommates. If one of you could jump in to answer that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that question. We don't have all of those procedures ruled out. We're in the process of planning for that. But we have set aside a portion of rooms for quarantine and isolation spaces. We're also exploring other options for students. The bottom line, and Kathleen touched on this earlier, is to make it as stress-free and easy, I guess, for lack of a better term, where you have staff support to be able to shepherd you through if quarantine or isolation does become a necessity next semester. That's one of the things that the housing staff and in collaboration with our colleagues in health services and dining, we've gotten really good at. We had a plan in place that was excellent in the fall, and we've perfected that through the few quarantine and isolation cases that we've had to address. But we'll also spell that out to you in communications this summer as the details become solidified and we continue planning for full occupancy and how we're going to approach that.
Trying to look through real quick and see if I'm getting everything on here. So there have been a couple of questions regarding what building first-year students live in. While we do have the two buildings, East and West, they are considered one residence hall. Priority for housing does go to incoming first-year students, so it's possible that they could be in either of the buildings. So there isn't necessarily one that is set aside strictly for first-year students. Couple of other questions are, someone has asked about if there are in-person tours. The admissions office is running very, very small, as in 6 people or less. Brief tours of the campus right now, and they do see the very first floor of the residence halls that Eric was able to show. Unfortunately, we're not able to show any of the higher floors, but if you check the admissions website, you would be able to see any availability they would have for that as well. Question about how many roommates you would have if you live in a room with a private bathroom. So you could either have 1 roommate, 2 roommates, or 3 roommates. All of our triple and quad rooms have private bathrooms, and about half-ish of our double rooms have private bathrooms as well. And another question was about paying for laundry. There are laundry rooms in both buildings. They are card operated, and a few machines that are coin operated. And it is $1.75 per wash and $1.50 per drying. So the students would need to pay for that. And as I said, you can use a credit or debit card for that, or there are a few machines that are specific for coin operation. I think I may have gotten everything that was in the question, so I'm just looking at the chat right now. We are planning to have full occupancy in the building, so we're planning to have all 1,077 bed spaces filled. If students are unable to get housing on campus, or in the second year they decide they would like to live off campus, as I said, there are resources in the off-campus housing website. I'm going to actually put a link to that in the chat so that it's easy for people to see. And if you are interested in applying for housing and you have not, once you are accepted to the university, you would submit your new student enrollment fee as well as the housing reservation fee through your MyUMB portal. And after that processes, which could take about 2 business days, you would receive a notification that you are able to submit your housing application. When housing applications are processed, typically overnight, we are then able to send out the license agreement to you and your guarantor. And then you'll be able to go through and read that. So Diane, a question just came in asking if they can only have meal plan A. I believe that that's specific just for this year, but if you can talk about that a little bit, please.
Sure, yes, the only meal plan A is specific for this year due to COVID. We don't have any other retail options available except for the store in the residence hall. So it made sense to only offer meal plan A for this current academic year. We fully expect, fingers crossed and all goes well, that we will be back as normal and be able to have both meal plan A and meal plan B offerings there. And for anybody in the session who may not decide to live on campus, we will also offer a myriad of commuter meal plans to fit whatever kind of needs you might have.
So Jen, Eric wanted to have an opportunity to show inside the dining common, kind of the various stations, and he has stuck around to do so. So I think we can take a quick 2-minute break. Eric, if you want to come back and show us the dining common, we would appreciate it. And there were a few comments in the past for the tours that people were not able to see a larger view of that. You can change your view, and for me on my computer, it's the upper right corner. You can change it to speaker view, and then Eric should be the full size of your screen when you do that.
keep in mind the dining commons you're seeing while the stations are there is during COVID time, set up as COVID times. Thank you, Eric. You're rocking it.
Hello, everyone. So we're going to go through this, I don't know, relatively quickly. I'm sorry if it's loud, but you should have seen this earlier and I didn't show it to you. So why don't we go through? Right here, when you first walk into the dining commons, you have your drink section. That's basically machine, flavored water, everything you love to see. And then we start with our fruits and our yogurt. Right before moving into our salad bar, we got all kinds of options here. Like I said, it's a little loud. They're closing up shop soon. Normally during the regular life, we'd have this section filled with sandwich options for you to make yourself something. Right now, because of COVID, we have that closed down and we've confined everything to one specific area. Over here, we have one of my favorite areas. This is traditionally a stir fry section, but right now they're running a creative station out of it. So you'll find different stuff like this every Tuesday. Running through right over here, we start with our baked goods and our pizza. Most often there's pizza over here, but they got a ton of options that vary widely. Hey, Ernie, come here. One of my favorite people in the world, Ernie's working back here right now today. Say hi to the new students. Hello, new students. And as you can see, Ernie is very helpful with feeding us super well. He's like my dad away from my dad. So I'll see you later, Ernie. Just as old. Yeah, I doubt it. He's like 25. Running through here, we've got our vegan section, our vegetarian options. It's fantastic if you have any dietary restrictions whatsoever. Say hi. And finally, we have just a few miscellaneous items in case you're missing anything else. Now, like I said, this is the COVID situation, so things might look a little bit different if you get here and we are out of this, but for the most part, this is what we're working with now. I want to thank all of you for sticking around and waiting for me to finish this part, but thank you.
Thanks so much, Eric, for coming back. We really appreciate that.
That's great. Can I answer one more question I just saw in the chat about transportation? Public transportation is readily available. There is an MBTA red line stop right down the road, JFK UMass stop, and we frequently run shuttle buses back and forth from the T station to the campus. Additionally, there are discounts on MBTA passes. The student government passed a referendum a couple of years ago allowing for up to 50% discount on an MBTA pass. So you'll learn more about that during orientation and emails that will go out this summer. If you are interested in that, sign up immediately because it is first come, first serve, and basically until the money runs out. The student government had voted to put an MBTA fee on your tuition bill. It's, I think, $20 a semester, and that money goes towards helping to finance this reduction for undergraduate students only.
Thanks, Diane. Jen, any other questions that you'd like to answer live? We are at 7:03, so I do want to wrap it up in a few minutes.
So there's a couple of questions have come in asking about posting the meal plan pricing again. Is that posted on the website already, Diane, Andy, or Kathleen?
I did put it in the Q&A. We don't have the pricing set yet. It has to go through the Board of Trustees for the upcoming academic year. This past academic year, it was, I hope I'm doing my math correctly, $5,716 for the year, for academic year 20 to 21. And so again, the pricing has not been set for the upcoming year. I think the increase will be minimal. So yes, and then we'll have that out and, published once that has been approved by the Board of Trustees.
Someone has asked what percentage of students commute. Majority. And the reason that I'm saying that is we have 1,077 bed spaces in the residence halls, and all other students are commuting students. I'm not really sure what that percentage would be, and I don't want to give an incorrect rate. So just know we have 1,077 who can live on campus. Students are able to receive packages. We have parcel pending lockers that larger packages go into, and each student does also receive a mailbox that they were able to get letters as well. And I know that I didn't get to all of the questions, and I apologize for that. If there are some that I wasn't able to answer, please do send us an email to housing@umb.edu, and we'd be happy to answer those for you.
And also, I did just see a few questions about housing for the spring semester. If a student signs up to live in the fall, it is a full academic year, so the fall and the spring semester would be what the license agreement was for. We do have spaces open up for the spring semester, so if you did want to wait until the spring semester, spaces would be limited, so it's possible that the room type you're looking for may not be available, but we will definitely have spaces available for the spring. It's just a smaller option to choose from. At this time, I would like to thank all of our panelists and Eric and Chloe for giving us a tour, a fabulous tour of the residence halls. As I mentioned before, you can email us at housing@umb.edu with any questions about housing. And if you have questions about the meal plan at umb.edu. And I know that Kathleen and Andy's emails, as well as Diane's, were all placed in the chat. Jen did mention if you wanted a copy of the video or a link to the video that we are recording right now, you can definitely email us at housing@umb.edu, and we will send that link out once we get it processed. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and have a great evening. Take care.
And we'll see you this fall.
Yes.
Bye.